Hey friends, I'm making a quick kind of follow-up video to my other video about my #1 tip for asking for signs. And I wanted to share a few other ways to ask for signs from your spirit guides or from the universe, give you some other tips and tools on how to open up the lines of communication between you and the spirit realm. So if you watch my other video, you'll know that that is my #1 way to work with it, and you can definitely stop there if that feels good to you. If you haven't watched it, please pause, go watch it now, and then come back to this video. So I want to just go over a few other ways to work with signs, asking for signs. So besides the reassurance sign, which I covered in the other video, the other main way I think that people work with signs, myself especially, is what I think of as the clarity sign. So a lot of people think of, asking for signs when we need clarity on a decision, right? We don't know what to do. That's when most people tend to turn to, God, spirit, the universe, whatever resonates with you there, looking for some direction, right? So the clarity sign is a very specific way of working with signs, and I want to make sure that it's it's very different from, say, the reassurance sign and some of the other signs that I'll talk about today. But the clarity sign is really about asking for something very specific, something that's different from your reassurance sign, and something that you ask for within a very specific time frame. So, for example, so I am thinking about maybe taking a new job or moving to a new city, and I am not sure. And it's really important to phrase this in kind of a yes or no, because, and I mentioned this in my other video, when working with signs from guides or the universe, a lot of us tend to overthink them, right? We misinterpret them, or we miss them altogether, and we're not quite sure what it means, and we overthink it. But it's when you phrase it as yes or no, when I receive this sign, it's a yes. When I don't receive it, it's a no. That's generally how I work with clarity signs, instead of kind of assigning different symbols or things for yes and for no. It's like, okay, for example, thinking about taking a job, asking my guides for, hey, if this is meant to be, if this is a yes, if I should take this job, send me a yellow heart in the next 48 hours. So I'm looking, right? I'm looking around, paying attention, not seeking it, right? Because that kind of goes against the whole idea. But just paying attention. If I receive that yellow heart within the 48-hour time period, then it's a yes. If I don't receive it, then it's a no. There are other ways to work with clarity signs, but this method I found is the easiest because it is the most clear and the easiest to translate. So the clarity sign is a nice one to practice, but I always recommend starting with the reassurance sign first. So go and watch that video first. Once you get comfortable with that, then you can start expanding into these other types of signs. So besides the clarity sign, I think there's a few other ways, and this is only just a handful from my own experience. There's potentially infinite ways, right, to receive guidance from the universe. But another one is what I think of as the loved one love note. And these are just very specific signs that we ask for from loved ones who have crossed over. And there's some overlap, because you can ask for reassurance from them, and you can ask them specifically for clarity on something, but these are signs that feel very specific to that person. So for me, just a few months ago, I was trying to reconnect with my childhood cat who had passed, and so I asked him to send me his name, his image, his likeness in the next 48 hours, or something similar. I don't remember the time frame I asked, and just a few hours later, I received a random text from my aunt, who had found an old picture of my cat and had group texted my dad and my mom and me about this cat, and was asking, is this parsley, is this your cat? And I just burst into tears. It was just like the beautiful moment where I knew he heard me, he was reaching out to me. And you know, so you can use this with pets and people, because this is all just energy, and they're all there on the other side. And I like to pick, for most of the time, I like to pick a symbol or something that reminds me of that person. So say you had a sister who crossed over, maybe she was a dancer or ballerina, and you can ask her for, you know, send me ballet shoes or something specific that reminds you of that person. And this is just like a love note from a loved one. It's just their way of saying, hey, I'm here. All is well. You don't need to miss me. You know, all of those kind of reassurances that we often need when we're grieving, or we wish we still had the same human connection or human interaction with that person. So again, there's overlap between the reassurance sign, the clarity sign, and these specific signs from the loved one. One other way I have received signs, and I love to receive signs, is through music. So the spirit realm in general really loves working with electricity. There's something about that vibration, that frequency is really easy for them to work through. Maybe because it's like pure electricity, pure energy. But you know, we'll read stories about like lights flickering and the radio coming on and off and things like that, because it's easier for the spirit realm to work with that. But through music. So, you know, songs, song lyrics, things like this have come through for me many times, asking for guidance on something, especially like a specific message that I needed to hear. You know, the next song that comes on my Spotify or something will be like, oh, hot damn, that hit me right in the feels. That was exactly what I needed to hear today. And I think of those as signs. These are ways the universe is trying to connect with you and communicate with you. I remember one time I was driving like home from the doctor or something, and I was really feeling down and discouraged, and I think I had my Spotify just on like shuffle or something. I don't remember what station I was listening to. It was a news station maybe. And I just put it out there. I was like, you know, I'm feeling really crappy. Send me some sign, send me some reassurance. And like literally the next song that popped up not only had the Hummingbird as the album cover, and if you got to watch the other video if you want to know my story about hummingbirds, but it was also a really beautiful message. And I listened to the lyrics, and it was just like, it felt like the universe was speaking to me. And of course I started like bawling, and it was like this really profound moment of feeling connected and loved and protected again. So again, song lyrics, music is a really cool way that our guides talk to us. And another one that's not very common, but it's really fun to talk about, is what I think of as like the blatantly obvious sign. And again, these don't happen very often, but they're super cool when they do. So my like biggest example of a blatantly obvious sign was, I was a few years ago, I was contemplating working with a client. They had you know, put in a bid on a project, and I just wasn't quite sure if I should say yes or if I should say no. And I was driving on the highway, I think, and I, you know, talk out loud to myself sometimes. We all do, right? Talking aloud to whoever's listening out there. And I was just like, you know, should I work with this person? And I swear within about 3 seconds, I look up and there's a big billboard that says, yes, you should, with these letters at the top. I remember it was like bright orange or yellow, something really like get your attention. And I remember just looking at those words, yes, you should. It was like, okay, there's no way to misinterpret that. So that was like a really cool moment. I don't remember what the billboard was actually advertising, because again, for me, those 3 words was the message that I needed to hear that day. And so I said yes to that client, and ended up being a really wonderful working relationship. So these are just a handful of other ways to work with signs, asking for signs, talking to the universe or your spirit guides. And yeah, so if you haven't watched the first video about my number one way to work with guides or signs, watch that first. But these are also just some fun things to play with and explore. And, you know, I actually cover both of these kind of topics come together for me in my Energy Mastery online course. So I have an entire module about getting clarity on life's decisions. And part of that is working with asking for signs, but a couple of other more body-based techniques and intuition-based techniques. And then I have an entire module about working with spirit guides. So I think both of those things really go well together when we're talking about this topic. So feel free to check out that course. I'll leave a link below. And yeah, I would love to hear your experiences about working with signs, receiving signs, moments that you had in your life where you got a sign from God, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, and it, you know, changed your life in some way. So drop me a comment below and tell me your story. And if you like this video, this is helpful for you, feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. All right, everyone, take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.